Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guest today is Wes Shirley, who is producing a new series of events called the Cedar Rapids Songwriters. And you've got your first one coming up on the 6th of June, which we'll talk about specifically in a minute. But first off, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
And tell me about CR Songwriters. How did this idea come about?
So I've been a songwriter for a long time, and I've played in bands for 30 years of various sorts. And I've always I'm not great at any instrument, but I've always thought my instrument is songwriting. That's the thing I bring to a band. And, you know, as a songwriter, you spend a lot of time sort of trying to perfect the sort of combination of harmony and melody and lyrics. And, you know, and you're looking for those subtle differences, and you're looking for that sort of magic moment to happen. And then you figure that out and you go to a bar and you play in a very loud bar to a bunch of people who are maybe half paying attention.
Yeah, and grooving on the songs that they know, but it's hard for any artist, except for those, you know, at the very, very top of their attention game, to sometimes get people to listen carefully to something brand new that they don't know about. I mean, I spent my whole career in radio broadcasting, and for many years I was a music director of a radio station, and we had the same dichotomy where people would tune in for their favorites, but what you really wanted to do was play them this new song that might be a favorite.
Their minds.
Yeah, that would be a favorite coming up. So it's hugely challenging.
Yes, and so a lot of this idea was to kind of create a space where the song is at the center. And so it's a songwriter, very stripped down. We're not going to have bands. It's going to be the song and the songwriter, and maybe have one extra instrumentalist if they want to bring one along. We're not doing that for this one. Both people who are doing it have decided not to do that they're just going to play solo. But really create a space where songs are at the heart of that performance. And songs are always at the heart of every performance, but they're not always fully appreciated in their full form.
Well, to showcase that aspect of it so that people coming in know that, you know, I am coming specifically to be wowed by something new.
Yeah. And hopefully, like, we create that space where people will be wowed, or will have sort of maybe that transcendent experience just by hearing a song, hearing a lyric, hearing the way a lyric is delivered. And so, so the idea was just to create that sort of intimate space where songwriter, song, and the crowd are kind of all sharing that space very intently and intimately, and hopefully create those moments of kind of transcendence, or maybe not transcendence, but maybe get close to it.
Your first event is coming up on the 6th of June. You're going to be at the Whipple Auditorium at the Cedar Rapids Public Library, which people, I think of as more of a lecture hall, but I've been to several music events there. It really works as a concert venue.
Yeah. So I moved to Cedar Rapids in 2014, and I remember the first time I walked into that space, and just physically it's such a beautiful space. And my first thought coming, because I moved here from Oregon, and I was, you know, in music scenes in Oregon, and walking into that space and just saying, why aren't people putting on shows in this space? And how many ever years ago that was, I'm finally sort of like, maybe I should put on some shows here. And
well, somebody's got to do it, right?
In there. But yeah, and just the acoustics in that room are great. I think, you have too many people in that room, the sound can get a little bouncy. You have a drum set in there or something like that. But I think somebody playing a keyboard or an acoustic guitar.
Oh, it's perfect.
And just like that space will fill up with that sound. And you don't need much else to fill up that space. And you're overlooking Green Square Park, and you're overlooking the art museum. And I'm just excited about that venue as well.
You're going to feature two artists at your concert.
Correct.
Cram Driscoll, who
Yes.
I know well, and who's been a guest on the show many times with her work with groups like the Awful Pretties and Diplomats of Solid Sound. And I knew she was a songwriter on her own. Tell me how you settled on Sarah and Joel Sayers, who's the other artist.
So Sarah was one of the first people I met when I came to Cedar Rapids, and she's just the middle of the wheel of Cedar Rapids music. She kind of knows everybody. She's worked with everybody, and she introduced me to Rich Wager, who is the bass player in my band, and I'm forever appreciative of that introduction because I love Rich and what he does. and all of his various projects. And so I was thinking about who's the person doing a lot of that work in the community as far as organizing a musical community. And she was the first one that came to my mind. And like I said, she's been in so many projects. You know, she's Awful Purdy's Diplomats. She's now in the Night Lights.
And she's written songs for especially the Awful Purdy's, but a lot of those bands doesn't have a chance to show off her songwriting skills.
Yes. Yeah. And part of what I'm doing is just hopefully create that space for people to come in and showcase their songs. And like you said, she doesn't have a ton of those opportunities just because she's involved in so many different things, and it's collaborative in nature. And so for her to be able to come in and I think to showcase her songs to an appreciative audience is I'm excited about.
And tell me about Joel.
And Joel is a person I have not actually ever met in person, but I mean, from the first time from when I moved to Cedar Rapids and I kind of started like trying to get a feel of the music scene in this area, Joel is a name that just kept popping up, and he's been making music out of Cedar Falls for 20 plus years at this point, and I think he's done a little bit of everything. He's been in glam rock, psych rock, power pop bands, and recently has just really kind of started to move towards that singer-songwriter kind of approach where it's just him and an acoustic guitar, or him and just a couple of guys who are kind of providing support. And so to create a space for him who's, he's done so much in the Eastern Iowa music scene as well, and and is kind of on this new journey. And I think, everybody I talk to has so much respect for him as a musician, as a songwriter. And so I was really excited to get him too. I just kind of contacted him out of the blue and said, would you be interested? He said, yes. I'm like, oh, this is great.
As an artist, this has to be both exhilarating and completely frightening. Because on the one hand, people are coming, and you don't have to share the spotlight. You are just this is my work that I'm gonna put out there for you to enjoy. But on the other hand, this is my work, and if you don't like it, I am up there just naked.
Yeah, and I'm not a person who has performed solo a lot. I've often been in a band setting. And I love that because it does take weight off of me. Like, okay, I can step back from the mic and I can just let somebody solo for a minute or two and just relax and enjoy that communication that's happening.
No hiding here.
No, it's you and you alone. And I think you said it great, is like exhilarating and frightening at the same time. But I mean, as an artist, what do you want? Like, you want to stand on the precipice and you want to see, like, where can this go?
That's right. At the end of the day, you want to put it out there.
Yeah. So.
The Cedar Rapids, their CR Songwriter show series begins the 6th of June, Whipple Auditorium. What time is the concert start?
So 6:30 doors, okay. And then we're doing 2 45-minute sets, so 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock set, and so we should be out there by 9.
Okay. And I imagine you're visioning this as something that will continue?
Yeah, I'm really thinking about it as a kind of like a quarterly thing right now, and kind of see how that goes and see if I can sort of build something from the ground up, and then if it does turn into something that seems viable and that people are really interested in, really starting to maybe do that, every 2 months and then maybe every month and just sort of see where this takes us. But yeah, we'll see how this one goes, and fingers crossed that people are interested in it.
The CR Songwriter Series inaugural performance, June 6th, Whipple Auditorium. Doors open at 6:30. How do we get tickets?
So you can go to crsongwriters.com. Nice and easy.
Okay. Can't beat that as far as ease of registration. Yes. Will tickets be available at the door?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Okay. And it's $20, and so we do have catering. So we'll have wine and beer and NA options available, excellent. And then 2 drinks are included in the tickets. So $20 gets you into the show and gets you 2 drink tickets. So.
Excellent. Okay, well, crsongwriters.com if you'd like more information or to get tickets in advance. And Wes, thank you so much for being here today. Looking forward to this being a successful event, and come back and tell us about the next one.
All right, sounds great. Thank you so much.
You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio most weekdays at 10:30, on demand at kcck.org/culture, or subscribe using your favorite podcast player. Watch our videos on the KCCK Facebook and YouTube channels. Our producer is Lydia Kilgore. The Culture Crawl theme is composed by Vivian Shanley. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.